15 minutes past 8 now.
Snowy, look at this. A unicorn.
It's a very unique specimen, that is. The finest ship has ever sailed the seven seas. How much for the boat?
It's not for sale.
You're about to walk into a whole mess of danger.
Something happened on this ship. What secret?
Lena Lamont's walked into a whole mess of danger here in the Kiwi studio to talk about Tintin this morning. Don't know why, I thought I'd just use that as a segue.
Nice.
I like to take a line from a film and use it on the show, you know?
And, use it inappropriately.
Yeah,
No,
totally inappropriate.
Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. Yeah. Tintin out on Boxing Day.
Yeah, at last.
And you've already seen it how many times?
Twice. Once in 3D and once in 2D.
Yeah.
So I feel that I can give a good opinion on both.
Definitely.
So I loved it. So
obviously.
So we can move on to the next film. Oh no, right. Yeah, I think they've done a marvelous job of Tintin. They being Steven Spielberg, the director of our youth and most of the youth of people listening, and Peter Jackson as producer. The interesting thing about the behind the scenes of this is, as I just said, Spielberg directed, Jackson produced, but they really did collaborate. So I've read quite a lot about the way they went through the artistic process and the filming process, and there were a lot of instances where they're both on set, but ultimately Steven Spielberg was the one deciding where the camera was going to go.
Yeah.
And I believe for the next film they're going to swap roles, and so Peter will direct and Spielberg will produce it, and then hopefully there'll be more films. And
gosh, aren't they having a lot of fun?
They are. It seems as though they are. And it's apparent in this film that not only were they having a hell of a lot of fun making it, but my goodness, I'm so grateful. As somebody who read all the Tintin books since I was tiny, and therefore is definitely a fan and really does care how they're going to render the characters that I've grown up with, as most of the audience will. I'm so grateful to them that they spent years producing this film. Even when you look at what Weta Workshop and Weta Digital did in terms of the animation, that was painstaking in terms of the workshop putting together loads of different renditions and deciding on a particular look and then animating it. I mean, this is such a complexly made film. It's very unlike just saying, oh, you know, we'll get Wammo to play Tintin because he's kind of got the similar sort of quiff, you know.
I do.
And we'll hope that, but you know what I mean? No, it wasn't even just, oh, we'll just find someone who looks a bit like him.
Yeah.
You know.
Getting a haircut today.
So, right.
Yeah.
That wasn't a hint. So, so the animation is extraordinary, unlike any animation I've seen, such that there are bits where you're looking at the people's hands in close-up, and it looks like a live-action
like
hand.
a real hand.
Right. And I was sort of thinking, oh, do you think they just popped a real hand in there? But no, apparently they
I think that would be easier,
animated
wouldn't it?
to pop a real hand in. I know, right? And extraordinary, like, close-ups of the people's faces, including very, very slight veins on the face and wrinkles and pockmarks and stubble and everything.
But did they get into the uncanny valley side of things? You know that term? It's where computer generation is so real that it's so human, but as a human, you kind of notice it's not quite.
That you know that it's a lie, kind of. Yeah, because I suppose the brain, you know, they're always telling us the brain fills in lots of gaps, doesn't it? And the brain can't be tricked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, I mean, I'm not suggesting that when you look at Tintin, you go, oh my goodness, he's a real person. He's blatantly an animated character, but there are so many elements, like when hair ruffles in the wind, or when you look at Snowy's fur, or when you look at, say, as I say, the hands or the skin and whatnot, that you just think that is the most hyper realistic I've ever seen. And so actually, no, that does look like it's real person.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
But it's when you zoom out and look at the whole thing, you know, it is still animation.
It's still an animated feature.
Yeah. Okay, so best in 2D or 3D?
Actually, you know, I hate to say it, doesn't actually matter. I saw the 3D first and it was spectacular, but I saw the 2D and I don't feel that it lost anything. Obviously, there are going to be things you get a little bit more out of for the 3D, but I got such pleasure from seeing things like Tintin's landlady and first mate Alan and the characters that we know as extras, and suddenly you're seeing them for real and going, oh my goodness, I recognise that character, and there's Nestor the butler, and it's so well rendered that doesn't matter tuppence if that's 2D or 3D.
Good for big people and little people?
I say good for big people and little people. I say good for Tintin fans and good for people who have never never read any Tintin and aren't invested in whether they've done a good rendition of the Tintin's Landlady or whatever. What I should say, to be fair to the purists, they've cobbled together 3 of the early books into one film, and they haven't done it sequentially so that you can, follow the plot exactly as it went, and then we're into the next one. They've done a big mashup.
Yeah.
I didn't mind because 2 of these 3 books aren't my favourite books anyway.
Right. Okay.
And so I didn't really mind, and I think they've put together a really good story. Some people think it's too full.
Yeah.
There's too much going on, but it keeps you interested and engaged the whole way through.
So good to bank away for a rainy school holiday.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think people who are just interested in the advances in animation should go see it, because I think it's a terrific ride.
Animation geeks. Okay, on to Melancholia.
Late you
So sorry, guys.
We're only there. That was 2 hours ago.
Toast, the bride and the groom.
You look glowing today. Never seen you look so happy.
I'm thrilled about this wedding, and I know it's costing John a lot of money. It's not about the cost. I thought you really wanted this. But I do. What star is that? The red one.
I don't know.
What's going on, Justine?
It's a planet that has been hiding behind the sun. Now it passes by us.
I just have one thing to say. Enjoy it while it lasts. I myself hate marriages.
Gabby, please.
Well, the more I see this trailer, the more I want to see the film.
Yeah? How come?
Just that, there's obviously this great sci-fi element to this new Lars von Trier.
Yeah.
About it's all in the trailer there. A planet that's been hiding behind the sun.
Yeah,
like
they've discovered a new planet called Melancholia, which is on a sort of almost a collision course for Earth.
Yeah.
So the 2 main plots of Melancholia, which, as you rightly say, is Lars von Trier's latest film. And just going back a little bit, last year he brought out Antichrist, which I couldn't
Awful.
even stomach going to see.
Terrible film.
Right, and I mean it was fairly divisive. I mean, I think that solid Lars von Trier fans thought it was marvelous, but very difficult to watch. I'm just not into getting into the body horror and too much of the just nastiness of it all.
Yeah.
This is kind of back to his being quite surreal, quite nihilistic, but incredibly extravagantly beautiful. This is so different from the film that we were just discussing earlier. I think that he's a real artist. I know this is like such a poncy thing to say, but I really do think he's an artist because he manages to throw into this film all the elements of what I feel cinema should be all about. There is this exquisite Wagner soundtrack. He uses one excerpt of Tristan and Isolde over and over and over, but you don't think, oh, is this music again?
Yeah.
You're completely swept up in it because it goes with the visuals, which are incredible. There's amazing sort of tableau at the beginning of the film that doesn't make any sense whatsoever and looks incredible. And then as the film unfolds, you think, oh, that was foreshadowing what we're now seeing. Amazing performances. Kirsten Dunst, right? Okay, so the story falls into 2 main parts. Kirsten Dunst arrives late for her lavish wedding reception in her sister's big, beautiful, rich house. And her name's Justine. Kirsten Dunst plays Justine. She's extremely depressive, melancholic, therefore, and ambivalent about getting married. So the wedding allows for, I always think weddings are great fodder for the histrionics and the secrets and lies of family troubles and the openings of cans of worms and all that sort of thing. So you get all the melodrama behind a wedding, plus Justine being depressive, as I say, and there's a lot of bad behaviour. And then the second part of the film is all about the fact that they're still in the big house, and it now focuses on the sister Claire, who is very concerned that this planet Melancholia is on a collision course for Earth. And even though her husband, played by 24's Kiefer Sutherland, says he's a scientist, he says it's going to be fine, it's going to just swing past us and it will be the most amazing thing we ever see, she's concerned, well, what if he's wrong? So there's this wonderful sense of dread and tension and doom throughout the whole film, but at the same time it's exquisite and beautiful and not quite depressing, if you know what I mean.
Cool. I'm sold on it.
Okay.
Yeah, really want to see it. Melancholia.
It'll be an interesting one. It's not for everybody in the way that I would say you could go along to Tintin and you'd have a good time. It's not quite for everybody.
Yeah.
But hopefully for those who see it, it will be an intensely rewarding experience.
Great. Okay, 2 movies to see over the holiday period because they both start on Boxing Day. Melancholia and Tintin. Lena Lamont's reviews are in the Sunday Star Times. You've got reviews coming up over the holiday period in the paper as well?
Yep, we've got one last issue coming up. Oh no, we haven't. This Sunday, of course, is Christmas Day. There is no issue on Sunday.
No, of course.
But then there will be on New Year's Day, and then in perpetuity into 2012.
And lenalamont.wordpress.com as well. Thanks, Lena. Cheers. We'll see you in 2012.
Cool.
Help me, Justine. I want to do this the right way.
I'm afraid that the planet will hit us anyway.